Have you ever stopped to think how many times you've been disrespected, even when you tried to do everything right? How many times have you tried to please someone, been kind, attentive, understanding, and still, you were ignored, rejected, or just dismissed? And the strangest part? The more you try to be the nice guy, the more invisible you become. If that sounds familiar, welcome. You're not alone. And you're not crazy. Because the world, no matter how beautiful it may sound in theory, doesn't run on kindness. It runs on power, strategy, and perception. And that's where Machiavelli comes in. You've probably heard his name before, usually linked to manipulation, coldness, maybe even evil. But that's a distortion. Machiavelli didn't write to teach cruelty. He wrote to expose how the world really works. And today, you're going to understand why being too nice, without strategy, is destroying your self-worth, killing your power of influence, and sabotaging your relationships. The trap of unconditional kindness. Since we were kids, we've been taught something like this. Be a good person, and everything will turn out fine. Phrases like, the universe rewards those who are just. Just be honest and things will work out. Be kind and people will be kind to you. But let's be honest. How often has that really worked in your life? How many times were you patient, forgiving, understanding, and still ended up being walked over? Have you ever stopped to consider that this version of kindness you were taught might actually be a form of social control? A way to keep you obedient, predictable, easy to manage. Here's the hard truth no one likes to say out loud. The world doesn't reward the kind. It rewards the strategic. It's not about abandoning kindness. It's about realizing that kindness without wisdom is like handing out flowers in the middle of a battlefield. When you try to please everyone, you lose yourself. Think with me. How many times have you swallowed your opinion just to avoid sounding rude? How often did you say yes when you really wanted to say no? How many times did you laugh at a disrespectful joke, pretend everything was fine, just to avoid being labeled too much? You were conditioned to adapt, to stay quiet, to shape yourself around what others expect of you. And sure, it looks noble. But in practice, it's self-abandonment. You try so hard to please everyone that one day you wake up and realize you don't even know who you are anymore. You spend your life trying to earn respect, but the more nice you become, the less people actually listen to you. Machiavelli explains, the world doesn't respect those who don't set boundaries. Machiavelli wrote, he who wishes to be only good will be ruined by the many who are not good. It's confronting, but it's real. The truth is, the world respects boundaries, not intentions. You can have the purest heart in the world. But if you don't know how to say enough, they'll use you. And that's not evil. It's human nature. People test limits all the time, often unconsciously. They want to know how far they can go. And if you're the one who always forgives, always gives in, always backs down, the message you're sending is, you can cross the line. I'll put up with it. You don't have to stop being good, but you do have to stop being naive. Being kind to those who don't respect you isn't a virtue. It's a weakness. And weakness, in the real world, invites disrespect. You don't need to become a tyrant. You don't need to manipulate anyone. But you do need to be kind with structure. With clarity. With presence. With a voice. You need to show that your kindness is a choice. Not your only option. Because true kindness only exists when you're strong enough to say, this is my limit. I won't go beyond this. The silent cycle of submission. Let's be brutally honest for a second. Most nice guys live in a quiet cycle of frustration. You give and give and give. And you wait. You wait for people to notice. To appreciate you. To give back. But they rarely do. Why? Because when you try too hard to be accepted, you send a subtle message. I need you more than you need me. And that unbalances everything. You stop being seen as valuable. You become available. Always there. Always ready to sacrifice. You weren't born to please everyone. If no one's ever told you this before, let me be the first. You have the right to disappoint people. You have the right to say no. You have the right to not reply right away. You have the right to walk away when someone disrespects you. You don't have to be endlessly understanding, endlessly calm, endlessly open. Because no one who truly loves themselves tolerates being ignored just to keep fake peace. The harsh truth: people respect those who set consequences. Have you noticed that the most respected people aren't always the nicest? They are the ones with presence even in silence. The ones who don't over-explain themselves. Who look you in the eye. Who know what they'll tolerate and what they won't. You don't need to shout. You don't need to threaten. But you do need to take a stand. And that starts with one simple move. Stop asking for permission to exist. The manipulated kindness, how your good nature is being used against you. Here's an uncomfortable truth. Your kindness might be getting used as a tool of manipulation. Now, that doesn't mean the people around you are evil. It just means people act based on convenience. If you're always helpful, always understanding, always saying yes, they learn they can count on you all the time. And that's fine until they start taking it for granted. Because the more you never push back, the more they assume you never will. That's when the disrespect begins. The issue isn't your kindness. It's the lack of boundaries surrounding it. When you give everything for free, people stop valuing it. It's the law of scarcity. What's rare becomes valuable. What's overly available becomes disposable. Are you being kind? Or are you just afraid of rejection? That's the question you need to ask yourself honestly. A lot of times, the nice guy isn't acting out of virtue. He's acting out of fear. Fear of seeming rude. Fear of being excluded. Fear of upsetting others. Fear of not being loved. In other words, he's learned that in order to be accepted, he has to dim his light. But that's not kindness. That's fear wearing a mask of virtue. It's the wounded nice guy syndrome. The one who helps everyone, understands everyone, carries everyone, but secretly resents the fact that no one truly sees him. Machiavelli never said, "Be evil." He said, "Be realistic." The image people have of Machiavelli is wrong. They think he encouraged cruelty and manipulation. But in reality, he was one of the first thinkers to say, bluntly, he who focuses only on appearing good will be destroyed by those who don't care about appearances. In other words, if you live to please, you'll be stepped on. He believed the world is imperfect, and that we need to be smart enough to survive within that imperfection. And more than anything, being respected is more important than being liked. Because being liked is fragile. It depends on how others feel. But respect, that's different. Respect happens when you draw the line and say, "These are my boundaries." No is a declaration of self-respect. You know what the most powerful word you can learn to say is? No. Not with anger. Not with aggression. With calm strength. Saying no is saying, I respect myself. I know my worth. I'm not here to trade my peace for scraps of approval. When you learn to say no without guilt, the whole game changes. You begin to be seen differently. Not as someone cold or harsh, but as someone solid. Someone with presence. Someone with standards. A practical example, the compliment that's actually control. Imagine this. You've always helped your coworker. Covered their shifts. Said yes to every favor. One day, you finally say no because you've got your own plans. And they respond, "Well, I thought you were different." Sounds like a compliment. But it's a trap. They're using your nice guy image against you. And if you're not aware, you'll give in. You'll go right back to the submission cycle. But if you're conscious, you'll smile and say, "Yes, I am different because I know where to draw the line." That's when the magic happens. Not because you won the argument, but because you finally chose yourself. Being respected is better than being liked. It's hard to hear, but necessary. Not everyone is going to like you. And that's okay. In fact, if everyone likes you, chances are you're not being yourself. You're shape-shifting. You're hiding. You're betraying yourself. Here's the truth. Respect lasts. Popularity doesn't. People might like you today, but tomorrow, if you stop meeting their expectations, they'll walk away. But respect remains. Respect makes people think twice before trying to manipulate you. It makes them listen when you speak little. It makes them feel your absence when you walk away. You don't need to be cruel, but you do need to be clear. Some people, after hearing all this, swing to the other extreme. They become harsh, dismissive, cold. But that's not the way. Being firm not equal to being cruel. Being clear not equal to being rude. Being strategic not equal to being manipulative. It's simply understanding that you're not here to please everyone. You don't need to explain yourself to those who don't respect your journey. You're not obligated to sacrifice your peace to maintain draining relationships. The shift starts within, the courage to choose yourself. This kind of change doesn't come from the outside. It's not about memorizing phrases. It's not about faking confidence. Transformation happens when, deep down, you finally realize you don't need to beg for value. You just need to stop dimming your own light. Because the respect, the love, the recognition you've been chasing, it all begins the moment you choose yourself. When you can finally say, I deserve to be heard. I deserve to be protected. I deserve to be whole. That's when life starts treating you the way you treat yourself. The truth, being good means being whole, not being submissive. Let's make something clear. Yes, you can be a good man. Yes, you can be kind. Yes, you can be sensitive. Yes, you can be someone who cares. But never again at the cost of your own soul. Because if you're sacrificing yourself, you're not being good. You're being convenient. You're being controlled. You're being tamed. And you weren't born for that. You were born to be whole. Your strength lies in being a man who has a heart, but also has a spine. A man who knows how to care, but also knows when to walk away. A man who says yes with presence, and no with conviction. That's true nobility. And maybe that's exactly what the world is starving for. There comes a moment when silence screams louder than words. You know that moment when you look at your life and feel like something's off. You can't quite explain it, but it's like you're doing everything right, and yet you feel empty. You're empathetic. You listen more than you speak. You adapt. You serve. You avoid conflict. You give. You understand. You understand too much. And yet, at the end of the day, you go to sleep feeling like no one's truly there for you. No one listens to you the way you listen to them. No one chooses you with the same loyalty you give. That's not just tiredness. That's a signal. It's your soul whispering, I'm exhausted from being ignored. You were trained to be useful, but never taught to be whole. From a young age, you heard things like, don't say that. Stop crying. Be a real man. Don't do that, people will think you're weird. And so you learned. You learned to stay quiet. To shrink yourself. To believe that being fully yourself was dangerous. That emotions were weakness. That honesty pushed people away. So you became the nice guy. The one who understands. The one who listens. The one who's always there. But that always there made you always invisible. And this is where Machiavelli extends his hand. He's not saying, become a monster. He's saying, wake up. Wake up to the fact that the world doesn't reward blind kindness. It rewards clear positioning, firm presence, emotional clarity. You can keep being kind, but now with boundaries. You can keep being generous, but now with discernment. You can still be accessible, but now only to those who earn it. That's not selfishness. That's maturity. The world treats you how you treat yourself. If you keep putting yourself last, the world will keep putting you last. If you accept crumbs, the world will offer you less. If you don't choose yourself, no one else will either. Because the value you reflect isn't in what you say, it's in what you allow. Do you allow yourself to be ignored? To be used? To have your peace violated? Then that's what will keep happening. But the moment you say, "This, I no longer accept," the game shifts. At first, it hurts. You'll lose people. You'll be accused of changing. You'll be called cold, distant, selfish. But over time, you'll feel something you haven't felt in years. Freedom. Real strength doesn't yell, it commands presence. You don't need to become an emotional bulldozer. You don't need to raise your voice. You don't need to throw shade. You just need to fully exist. With eyes that don't look away. With a voice that doesn't tremble. With decisions that don't ask for permission. And when you begin to respect yourself at that level, something shifts around you. People see you differently. They think twice before pushing your boundaries. And those who were only around for convenience fade away. Yes, it's scary at first. But it's also liberating. Being good means being fair, including with yourself. Enough of being good to everyone except yourself. Enough of understanding everyone but never being understood. Enough of stretching yourself to hold relationships while breaking apart inside. Here's the new definition of kindness. Being fair to others without being unfair to yourself. That's the silent revolution. That's when you stop asking for permission to exist. And start living like your presence has worth. Because it does. You don't need permission to change. If you're still here, that says everything. There's a part of you that's waking up. A part that's tired of living on autopilot. A part that's finally saying, "Enough. It's my turn now." That doesn't mean you'll become harsh or closed off. Quite the opposite. You'll make space for your truth. For real relationships. For connections with people who see you as you are. Not as they want you to be. You don't need to change your personality. You just need to stop self-sabotaging. One last question, do you want to be accepted or be free? That's the question that defines your new life. To be accepted is to keep playing the role others wrote for you. To be free is to pick up the pen and write your own story. The choice is yours. And no, it won't be easy. But it's simple. Those who stand firm transform. Those who shrink disappear. Final message. You've been conditioned to believe the world rewards the nice guys. But in reality, it respects those with clarity. Be the man who looks someone in the eyes and says no without guilt. Chooses to be with someone but never begs to be chosen. Builds his life on truth, not approval. That's a truly good man. Not one who pleases everyone, but one who has the courage not to betray himself. And if something inside you stirred while watching this video, it's because the shift has already begun. The pain you felt while hearing all this is the start of your liberation. White right pointing backhand index. Now tell me in the comments, when was the last time you said no and meant it with pride? And if you want to keep walking this path of transformation, click the playlist pinned in the first comment and on the card above. It's not for everyone, only for those who've decided to stop being invisible. And if you've made it this far, brother, it means you've already taken the first step. I'll see you in the next video. But now, you'll arrive as a whole man.